Okay, good morning. Welcome to the next session of our Door County Scottie Rally ZOOMIE session. I am Michelle Geiger-Bronsky, board president and founder of the Door County Scottie Rally, and I'm really happy that you're taking time to join us this morning because this session is going to be so wonderful. I had the opportunity to watch or to look through Colleen's slides with her yesterday, and they're just fantastic, and the stories she has to tell us this morning are also fantastic. Before we get started, I'm just going to go ahead and go over a couple of things. This session is being recorded. So if you don't want your face to show up on the side of the screen,
This
just
meeting is being recorded.
you can just go ahead and not have your picture showing. But if I could ask you to all go ahead and mute yourself, that would be wonderful, so that we don't get any background on the recording. Michelle, I think we can hear you. So if you can mute your computer or your phone, that would be great. Thank you. Um, so a couple of things I just want to go over with you. First of all, I want to point out my little headband. If you're interested in that, you can go to the Scottie Rally shop off of our website and order one of them. They're kind of cool. And I'm normally not a headband kind of gal, but I think I might have to become one now. The other thing is we don't charge anything for this program, but we want to encourage you to think about making a donation. You can support the Scottie Rally in a number of ways. And if you don't currently receive our electronic newsletter, which is called Rally News and a Ruse, if you go to our website at doorcountyscottierally.org, at the bottom of every page, I believe, there's a place where you can go ahead and subscribe to our newsletter. I want to point that out because this issue just came out. It got published yesterday morning, and Colleen was gracious enough to write two articles for us about this topic of dog activities, dog therapy, and those will be good resources for you to read through. And then secondly, if you go ahead and sign up for our newsletter, you'll always be on top of everything that we're going to be, putting out there. So please take advantage of that. Getting back to the idea of supporting the rally, also though, there's a wonderful opportunity when you go to our newsletter. There's a little paragraph that talks about how you can support us, and one of the bullet points addresses um, not becoming a member, but going through Raise Right. It's raiseright.com. Raise Right is a platform in which you can go on. You just register yourself. You can go on, and if you shop at Kohl's or Starbucks or Macy's or J.C. Penney or any variety of restaurants or theaters, you can go on there. Chewy is a great example, or PetSmart or Petco. They're all on there. You can go on there and buy gift cards. They don't cost you anything other than the face value, and they don't expire. And then you can take those gift cards and turn around and shop either online or on person on their websites, or go to those stores in person. When you purchase those gift cards, what happens is you get your money for face value. There's no expiration date, but a certain percentage from that organ or that company gets donated back to the Scottie Rally. So you're helping us earn funds without you spending any money directly out of your own pocket. So I really want to encourage you to take advantage of that. We've just found this as an opportunity, and it's going to be wonderful for us because our expenses to hold the rally and to do everything that we do year round are going up just like things are in all of our personal lives. So please take a look at that on the newsletter. And there's a handout also that you can click on that will take you through how that system works.
Michelle, can I add one thing
You
onto
sure
that?
can, Mary.
There are a few that also you can buy an e-gift certificate, or you can get it hard copy, a hard one in the mail. But like on Chewy, they allow you to buy the gift card and then turn around and actually order online, and it goes into your account, and we get double. So like this time it happened to be what I think it was 5% on the gift card I bought, and then I went online and we got another 4% off of my purchase. So it works out really well for us.
Yeah. Even places, thank you, Mary. Even places like Home Depot, Lowe's, But one of the big ones is Ace Hardware. I think Ace Hardware might be at 8% right now. It varies from week to week. So it's just a good idea. Anytime you think about going shopping, go to Raise Right. You'll get yourself established when you register, and then there'll be a code for us on your account. And so if you just go through there first before you go directly to the business account, that will help all of us, and most importantly, all of our dogs. So I'm going to go ahead and get started because Colleen's got a great presentation to do today. I actually just met Colleen in face to face yesterday when we connected about doing the presentation, but Colleen and I have known each other for a couple years now through different organizations that we've both been involved in. And I hear great things about her. I follow her on Facebook, and she is a busy retired woman, and does a phenomenal job with her dogs. She's involved in confirmation, involved in therapy. She also is involved and has been involved in numerous dog organizations. And she has a total of 4 dogs, which she'll tell you about today. And I'm just really excited to have her do this today. One of the things that she's definitely or continues to be involved with and certainly supportive of is the Scottish Terrier Rescue of Florida. And I think in the past, Colleen, I don't know, maybe you can clarify that if you're still on the board or you were on the board, and she also used to be she's a former board member of Scottie's Rock Foundation as well. So I'm going to turn things over to Colleen and let her get started because that's who you're really here to see. So thank you again, everyone, for joining in, and let's get the ball rolling.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. And thank you very much for inviting me to do this presentation. I always love to talk about therapy dogs, and especially Scottie therapy dogs, because most people say, oh, there is no such thing. Well, there is. There's a small group of us out there that I'd surely like to get expanded. So the more we can get the word out, the better. And I'm hoping this might help spread the word and intrigue some new people enough to get started doing some therapy dog work. Michelle asked me the other day about my credentials, and it kind of caught me funny. She was asking about things like formal degrees. And I don't even think in those terms anymore. I only think in terms of dog world credentials now. So I gave her a list of some of the things that I do there. I've had Scottie since 2001. They've been my exclusive breed since then. I've had 7 or 8 now, I guess, maybe 9. So it's been a wild ride with many Scotties. I do a lot of work with Alliance of Therapy Dogs now, which is the group that we have our therapy dogs certified through. Besides being a certified handler there, I'm also a tester observer, so I can train and certify new teams for them, which is really exciting. I'm also an AKC canine ambassador, so I do a lot of public presentations in my local community about purebred dogs and topics related to them, especially a lot of things on dog safety. I also am a CGC Canine Good Citizen Evaluator, and I've enjoyed doing that kind of work. I teach at our local dog club. There's a lot of different things I'm involved in now. So it's a very busy time for us, but I think my passion really now is therapy dog work. So I'm so happy to be able to talk to you about that. I want to talk to you a little bit about my team. Here's my agenda first off. The things we're going to talk about, I'll introduce you to my partners, Thule and Jack. Talk a little bit about how and when we got involved, what therapy dog work is all about, what makes a good team. That's really important. And then I'll talk a little bit about the certification process of becoming a certified therapy dog team, and tell you a little bit about how I go about scheduling and making visits, how we carry those out, and then talk at the end about the rewards and challenges. And there are so many of those, and share some nice memories that we've had of some of the things we've done. So first, this is one of my partners. This is Champion Ann Stam Tulip Takes a Bow. And you see she has multiple titles behind her name there. Canine Good Citizen. She has 3 therapy dog titles now and a Tricks Dog Novice title. She has actually worked her way up to the AKC's Therapy Dog Advanced title, which means that she has done over 100 therapy dog visits. So she's a pretty accomplished little girl. She's 7.5 years old. She's done 122 visits to date, and she has, as you see above, a lot of AKC titles. She's a purebred Scottie. She was a rehome from Ann Stam Kennels with me several years ago, and her breeder, Cindy Cook, is just delighted to see her have a new job now. She loves to talk about her work in service, and she's so pleased about that. So we're happy to share Thule with lots of people, and you can see she's a beautiful girl. My other partner is Jack. Many of you know Jack from Facebook also. He is now a grand champion. We're working on his grand champion bronze, and he's still actively showing. He also has multiple titles behind his name, performance titles. He has Canine Good Citizen up to the advanced level. He has his Therapy Dog Novice title, so we're just working on that, but he's about ready to reach the next level. He only needs 8 more visits to reach full Therapy Dog title. And he knows tricks, and he's done a temperament test and different things. So he's quite a handsome young man. He's 5 years old. He is very happy to go out and visit with me, and I love showing him off. He's such an unusual color. He always draws comments when people see him. So those are my 2 partners. The partnership in the team is really critically important, so we'll talk more about that later. We got started with therapy dog work back in 2023, and actually I was inspired by a couple of other therapy dogs in Florida. There's a lady in Florida that I know that had 2 therapy dogs, and I was so impressed with what she was doing with them that I thought, wow, I wonder if we could do that. So we tried it and found out that it worked well with our dogs too. So she was my inspiration. We enjoy doing this because it allows us to give back to our community. I've done a lot of volunteer work since I formally retired, and it's been in different areas. I was a master gardener for a while. I worked with the local theater as a docent and a volunteer for performances and different things, but this is the one that really is my passion, this volunteer work. So I try to enjoy that as much as possible to give back to the community. I live in a rural area. We don't have very many teams here. I think altogether in our community right now, we have 7 or 8 therapy dog teams of all different breeds. So I'm always working to recruit new people, try to get new people trained to go out. There is a really big need for this kind of work. And I was looking for something fun for the dogs to do, something other than going to a dog show. And this is just a perfect match for them to be able to go with me. They get one-on-one time. They go to visit, they get to see new people and new places, and they both just love it. I also am always happy to show off Scotties. Very few people know who Scotties are or what they are. They have many times never even seen one. So they are always a conversation starter when we're out in the community. So I enjoy sharing them with people that way too. A little bit first off about what therapy dog work is. It covers a wide range of opportunities. In this picture, you see Jack meeting someone at one of the assisted living centers, and Thule is in a different center in that other picture, and she is in her stroller. So I do use a stroller with her because she has very short legs and she gets tired easily. So Jack, he's a little higher on leg and he walks just nicely, so he doesn't use the stroller, but we go all over in one of these 2 fashions. A little bit about what therapy dog work is it's part of the classification called animal assisted therapy or pet therapy. Basically, you take your team to places where the residents would enjoy meeting your dog, where they might enjoy seeing them and petting them, and they would get joy from that. Lots of different places. You can see there's a long list up there. Nursing homes, memory care, retirement homes are probably the biggest group that we go to. I also visit a hospice. I go to home visits for hospice as well. So that's a big part of our visiting team. I do not go to hospitals or rehab clinics here pretty much. Schools are another big site, after school programs, libraries, and airports. Not too much opportunity in my area to do those either. Some other places that dogs will work is crisis intervention programs, jails. The lady who was my model originally takes her dogs often to the courthouse. She gets called in there to help with crisis situations. And then lots of community and public education events. We go to every kind of event we can get out there to promote therapy dog work and let people see Scotties and just have a good time with our dogs. So we go to all kinds of community things. The main thing about therapy dog work is that next line. It builds on the natural bonds that humans create with animals. So many people love animals of all sorts, and especially dogs and cats seem to be real popular with them. So we try to build on that natural bond, and we all know how that works, especially with the Scottie. You get one of those little fuzzy guys snuggling in your lap, and they nuzzle up to you and they give you a kiss, and you can't help but smile. It just makes your life better all the way around. So we like to take that concept and share it with other people out in the community that don't have an opportunity to share that with their dogs or with any dogs for many days. This is the first known therapy dog. He got credit for being the starter. This is Smokey. He was a Yorkie, and he was actually a stray that the soldiers in New Guinea in World War II picked up. And there's a real interesting video out there on YouTube you can watch that tells a little bit about his story. But he kind of inspired the whole line of animal assisted or pet therapy. Since the 60s, pet therapy has become much more common. And we currently estimate now there's over 50,000 US therapy dogs. Michelle asked me last night, how many of those are Scotties? And I said, I have no idea. I think it's very, very small, but there are no there are no records that would record that. We don't really know. There's so many agencies that certify, you'd have to go to each one and try to figure that out. But I'm sure it's a very small number, and we'd like to get that increase. But that was a little Smokey there, the first therapy dog. This is a very nice quote I found from the Humane Society of Broward County, which is here in Florida. They have a very large animal-assisted therapy program. I thought their concept here was very nice, and I love this quote, that animals provide people with unconditional love and non-judgmental acceptance and companionship. And they serve as a catalyst for social interaction and as bridges to interpersonal communication and attachment. And in their program, they utilize that human-animal bond to help improve health and quality of life for others. So that's a very nice framework, I think, for telling you what therapy dog work is basically all about. There's a lot of different kinds of helping dogs out there in the community, and people confuse them sometimes. You have service dogs, emotional support dogs, and therapy dogs. And they're not the same thing. They're trained very differently. What they do is very different. So I thought I'd just briefly mention that. Service dogs are specifically trained to do a task for somebody with a disability. And what they're trained to do depends on the person's disability. So it's a very individualized training program for that dog. Service dogs have government allowances so they can go places where most dogs can't. The Americans for Disabilities Act covers them. So they can go places like restaurants and fly in the cabin on, without a crate within the airlines. They can go to lots of different places where general dogs just can't walk in. So they do have protections that way. They do have to have good basic manners, obviously, good obedience skills. And oftentimes you'll see that they're wearing a vest or a collar or a tag that says something like, therapy dog, do not pet me, I'm working. Please do not touch, please do not pet, don't distract, something like that. So they work strictly focused on their owner doing the task that their handler or their owner needs, and they're basically trained to ignore everybody else. Emotional support dogs, this is a newer concept that's come out. These dogs provide comfort and support for people that are prone to stress. They are often helpful for reducing anxiety and for calming the person down. They're not the same as a service dog. They're not really trained to do specific tasks. They are not usually associated with somebody with a disability, although they can be if it's someone that has an anxiety disorder, for example. But they do not receive the same ADA rights that service dog would. Unfortunately, this has become kind of a popular thing to look at. People found out for a long time that emotional support dogs were allowed to fly in cabin in the airlines, and they went on kind of a big push to get all sorts of dogs approved to be ESAs so they could fly in the airlines, and many of them really weren't truly ESA dogs. They got kind of out of hand. Next thing you know, you had emotional support potbelly pigs. This is my emotional support snake that I want to bring on board. So the airlines now are starting to really reel back in on that, and this is not so much a good thing anymore. And people approach me and say, what do I have to do to get my dog approved as an emotional support dog? I only want to do it so I can get him on the airplane with me. That's not real ethical. So I, of course, discourage that. But that's still a hot button issue a little bit. Therapy dogs, on the other hand, are there just simply to provide comfort to people in lots of different settings. The main thing with the therapy dog that you're looking for there is they've got to have a friendly attitude. They have to like people. They have to be comfortable around people. They have to have basic obedience skills. And of course, you want them to be comfortable being petted and touched by all sorts of people, strangers. This is volunteer work. There are some therapy dog handlers that do take their dogs to work with them, and they're generally people like counselors or teachers, but that's not the rule. That's unusual. It does require certification to become a therapy dog, and they do not get the same rights that service dogs do. Okay. I have had some places that I've gone with my therapy dogs allow them with their certification in, for example, a hotel. places like that, but it's unusual, and you don't promote your therapy dog as a service dog to try to get those perks. Okay. So that's the differences between the three. This is some of the types of vests that they wear. I mentioned the service dog vest, do not pet. You can see one in the upper left-hand corner there. The other two pictures are pictures of types of gear that I put on my dogs. My one dog, both of my dogs actually go to hospice. So we have a special vest that we wear at hospice, that one in the upper right-hand corner. And then on typical visits, they wear usually a plaid harness or collar with their therapy dog tags. And you can see their tags are quite different. They say, therapy dog, please pet me. Total opposite from the service dog. Okay. I get lots of comments on that. People are always excited to see that and delighted to see those tags. Hey, what are the benefits of pet therapy? I put a motto up there at the top. We share smiles and joy. That's the motto of the Alliance of Therapy Dogs. And it just fits so perfectly. That's really what we're doing with our therapy dogs. We're trying to bring them in so that people can pet them, enjoy them, and end up smiling. They have done a lot of studies, though, on therapy dogs to find out if therapy dog pet therapy actually works. And these are some of the findings from those studies. 74% of pet owners believe their mental health has improved after they got their pet, and 87% have stated that it gives them a positive impact on their life. The next one's important. Interacting with the dog releases hormones like oxytocin and serotonin, and those help us relax and lower our blood pressure. They've done quite a few studies in that area. It's very interesting to see the results there. Hospitals bring dogs in to help people relieve stress. It promotes healing and reduces the need for pain medications in some cases. And schools like to use them also to support kids, especially those that have anxiety disorders or ADE, to help them, okay, let me go back. They bring them in for the kids that have anxiety disorders and attention disorders, and they help them encourage their focus and social skills to improve. This is a therapy dog team picture. This is my therapy dog, Thule, on the left, and on the right is Harley. He's a golden doodle. Sometimes we go and we do visits with multiple therapy dogs. We may have a team of 2 or 3 going at the same time at the same site. That's always a lot of fun to see that. Sadly, we don't have very many therapy dogs, but the good news is our numbers are growing. I'm hoping this little one in the picture will be a future therapy dog. This is Maggie Rose. She was 4 months old there. Everybody at the nursing homes and places love to see puppies. They just adore puppies. My Scotties are full grown, so they're really too big to put on people's laps. And so many of them like to hold a little puppy. So I took her in when she was 4 months old, and they just enjoyed the heck out of her. Take a look at that lady's face. You can tell. She asks me still about her every time I go there with my other dogs. The little Maggie Rose was a good starter. But why don't we have very many Scottie therapy dogs? Well, these are a few of the reasons that I hear. People say Scotties are too standoffish. Okay, they don't like being touched by strangers. They're too withdrawn. They're too small. People can't reach them. They're stubborn. Okay, and they say they don't do obedience. I heard that when I took my dogs to our local dog club for basic training. I walked in with them and they laughed. And they said, "What are you here?" I said, "I'm here for the basic obedience class, but Scotties don't do obedience." I said, "Mine will." And they did. And they do just great. And I think a big part of the problem is people don't know what the process is about. How do you get certified as a therapy dog and what's involved with that? So I'm hoping that we can put some information out to help with that process. The secret to success, I know at the bottom there, is the right dog, right handler, and right site. You've got to have all 3 pieces together for things to work well. We don't want people to get started out there and get discouraged and have it not be a good experience and we lose them. So we want to get them started right and have everybody have great experiences all the way around. I always refer to us as a team because we are. It's always the dog plus the handler. And you've got to have a good match there to make things work. This picture in the upper right-hand corner, that was one of the days we had 3 teams visiting at the same site. And we were all there lined up waiting for our patients to come in to meet us. So we have a great time as we go as teams. This is the most important thing, I think. When you're looking at the dog that you want to have as part of the team, these are the characteristics that would make for a good fit for the dog itself. Most agencies require they be at least a year old. They can be any breed of dog. They don't have to be purebred. This is real important. The next bullet point there, they have to have a sweet, friendly, gentle nature. That is probably the most critical thing. They have to be comfortable being touched by strangers. And depending on where you want to go with your dog, there's a lot of different types of groups of strangers there that you want them to be exposed to. I've been very surprised with Jack in particular, and the one in that picture there. He has never been around children. I don't have children or grandchildren, but his favorite group to go visiting with is kids. He absolutely adores kids. He's in his element there. They, of course, have to be well-mannered. They have to have good basic obedience skills. They do not have to have a canine good citizen for most agencies, but they have to have the skills that would go into the canine good citizen testing. So basically what they need to be able to do is to do a sit, a down, a stay, come, leave it, and loose lead walking, and to be able to be quieted if they become excited. The next one's real important, not reactive or aggressive to other dogs. Okay, and that's where we run into problems with a lot of Scotties. If they have not been socialized well when they're young, they start out being sort of temperamental and real feisty towards other dogs, and it's very hard to get past that. But if your dog is socialized well and is comfortable around other dogs, that will be fine. They have to be calm in new settings, especially medical settings, because there's all sorts of odd things that show up. Equipment rolling down the hall, alarms that go off, and beepers and noises. Also odd smells and equipment that they see, just lots of different things that they're approached in those kind of settings. So as long as they can take a look at it and startle for a moment and then settle back down, they'll be fine. The next thing on their last bullet point there is also important. They need to work for pets instead of treats. We avoid in a therapy dog setting using lots of treats for reinforcement. One of the main reasons is if the residents there see you feeding the dog treats, they all want to feed the dog treats too. And that could run into risks for scratches and bites and things like that, accidental ones. So we never allow with ATD, and at least we are not allowed to feed treats while we're on visits. And we never allow the residents to feed the dogs treats. So we get them used to working for positive reinforcement and for pets and hugs and those kind of things. The last point there, they need to travel well in the car. It's not a good thing if your dog gets car sick on the way to the visit site and you got a messy beard to clean up and everything. So that's something else you want to work with, is get them comfortable traveling in the car. Now, the other half of the team, there's some important things too, and that's the human partner of the team. The human partner also has to be friendly and engaging, able to converse with people of all ages, and just as accepting of all those new experiences and sights and sounds and so forth as the dog. I put in the center of the screen there, my big pet peeve is the handler who just walks their dog in and walks them from person to person so they can be petted, but they never interact with the patient or the resident at all. They don't talk with them. They don't try to start a conversation. They're visibly uncomfortable doing conversations with people. That I really am not pleased with. You really need to develop a rapport with the people you're visiting, and you need to be comfortable sitting and talking with them. They often crave conversation. They crave that personal connection. So I think that's a real important piece. A couple of other things about the person, the human partner. They always have to have a nice, clean, professional appearance. They have to be willing to put the time and the energy in to bring their dog clean and well-groomed. Basically, that means probably a bath before every visit, and come always brushed out neatly. I like to keep mine well-groomed so they look like Scotties. I never take them overgrown or looking like little sheepdog. I keep them looking like a true Scottie so that they put a good appearance out there. Nails are real important. Got to keep the nails short so they don't scratch anybody accidentally. I always tell people to avoid the scented sprays and colognes. So many people in the nursing home settings, hospitals and hospice are real sensitive to colognes and strong odors like that. They have to be willing to commit several hours a month to visit. Once you get started, you're going to find you're in high demand, and there are going to be a lot of people wanting you to come visit. So you have to be willing to put in a reasonable number of hours every month. Our time has expanded quite a bit in the last 3 years. Right now, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday are my visit dates, and I usually have at least one visit on each of those every week. A few times less than that, but that's pretty typical for us. And I'm working with 2 dogs, so I'm able to do a little more than people with 1 dog would. But 1 day a week is great. 1 day a month is great, whatever you can give. But always be reliable. Once you make a scheduled appointment with a site, be sure that you're there. and you're there on time. If you can't go, of course, give them the courtesy of letting them know ahead of time that you're not going to be able to make the appointment. Things happen, especially when you have a dog partner. They might not feel well that day. They might be sick. You might be sick. So, you may have to cancel out periodically, but you don't want to do that a lot. You want to be as reliable as you can. You also will find that you have to have a certain degree of health, be able to walk the distance it takes from the parking lot into whatever site you're visiting at. You'll be standing a lot. And the other thing is, this is always a volunteer experience, unless you are one of those rare people that is certified with your dog to take them to work with you. It'll be a volunteer experience, and that's real important. The process of certifying a therapy dog team, there seems to be a lot of mystery around that. And part of that is that there's so many agencies out there, and they all have different requirements. The basic requirements for you to go to visit at some kind of a site, whether it be hospice or a nursing home or a hospital, is it takes more than just having a kind heart and real good intentions. That site is going to have requirements that you must meet. And basically, they're looking for, first off, certification from an AKC recognized therapy dog agency. Okay, so they will want to see that. They'll want to see your credentials. Some places require a dog health verification, at least a current rabies shot. Background screening of the handler. Now, this can be required in quite a few sites. If I go to hospitals, if I go to schools, places of that nature, they do have background screening requirements, and they can vary from just a paper background screening online all the way up to fingerprinting. Okay, so that varies. You want to check on that. Proof of liability coverage. This is something that most sites ask me for. They like to know, are we covered by any kind of insurance in case there's an incident on site? Some of the AKC certified agencies provide that when you do your therapy dog certification with them. Others do not. Okay, so that's an important question that you would want to ask about. And then you need to follow, of course, the site's orientation and training and so forth. Beyond what you have to do for therapy dog certification, some of the sites you go to will ask you to do additional training. Hospice, for example, where I go, there's quite a long process to get approved to come in at hospice. You have to do fingerprinting. You have to do several levels of orientation training and programs there. And then they like to have you mentor with a nurse or a team member as you start to visit patients. Other sites, you show them your basic certification, your insurance document and so forth, and you're good to go. So it just depends on the site that you want to go to. Schools tend to also have pretty rigid requirements for visiting teams. To find an AKC registered recognized agency, if you go on the website, they have a whole list of them there. And actually, there are dozens of certified agencies across the US. You can find one probably or more in every state that you might want to look for. Going through a recognized agency adds credibility to your team. It shows that you've gone through a basic process, and they really want to know that. And also, the recognized agencies provide a lot of resources to their teams. Once you get certified, you'll get your certificate and membership card. You may get insurance. They have lots of ongoing training, newsletters, and so forth. They have an annual recertification process. Some of them even offer awards and scholarships. There's a lot of good things out there, but you'll want to shop a little bit to see which agency is the best fit for you if you're going to start looking for that. They do vary an awful lot. I was doing some research the other day on what some of the agencies require. And the one that I work with, Alliance for Therapy Dogs, it's less than $100 to go through the whole certification process, including your background screening and all of that. And your annual renewal is about $25 or $35, $35, I think. Some of the agencies, however, can cost over $1,000 to go through their whole process. I was really surprised to see what some places charge. They require formal training, whether it's online or in person. There's a big charge for that. Then there's other charges for the testing. Then there are additional charges for observations and so forth. And it keeps adding up and can be well over $1,000. Okay, with a very high annual renewal cost, also several $100s. Some of the agencies require the canine good citizen, others don't. Same thing with formal training. So you want to take a look at them and see. There are probably about a dozen or so large agencies that most people work with, and they're easy to find when you go through and start looking through the AKC's list. This is the one I know the most about. It's the one that I selected when I first started working, Alliance of Therapy Dogs, and it's a great resource place to go just to look and learn about therapy dogs in general. They have a real nice homepage. It's a real easy website, therapydogs.com. And when you go there, they'll give you a lot of background information about therapy dog work. They have a lot of nice information there about the process to get certified. They have blogs. They have all kinds of resource articles. It's a really, really nice place to work with. So this is the one that I certified through. And this is the process. You do start out with a background check. It's an online background check. You fill out a form. It goes to a national agency and they do your first level background clearance. Costs $20 for that. You do that first. You can't go any further in their process until they know you have a clear background. Okay, once you do that, you can go online and download their membership package. There's a lot of forms involved in that. Once you have that and have filled out the first form for application, you then contact someone to help you get certified locally. And that person is called a tester observer or a TO at Alliance of Therapy Dogs. You can go on their website and you can do a search by zip code, and they will give you a list of credentialed TOs in your area. And usually you can find one within 30 or 40 miles of where you live. If not, they have some alternative certification processes you can use too. So if you're living in the wilds of Montana or someplace, and there's nothing around for miles, there's other ways to do it. The next thing you do is you contact your tester observer person and you do a handling assessment together. Now what this is just a basic screening of how well does your dog behave in public? Okay, is it comfortable? Is it controllable? Is it good around strangers and that kind of thing? Where we usually do with that is at a local place like Lowe's or Home Depot or a pet store or Tractor Supply or some places like that that are large, that have a lot of activity, where dogs are welcomed. So you're going to encounter public dogs there as you go in and out. And basically we spend an hour, hour and a half there just kind of hanging out. And if the dog does well and the handler does well, then we move on to the next step. And that's to complete supervised visits. And you need to do at least 3 supervised visits, maybe 4. If any of them didn't go well, they may ask you to do the 4th one. 2 of them have to be in medical settings, and your TO has to be there with you. And they will usually arrange the site visits for you, so you'll know where you're going, and they will go with you on those visits and observe. Once you've passed all of that, you submit your documentation in. Your new member fee is $35, plus a $20 one-time processing fee, and then you get your packet and you're ready to go out and visit. They do recertification annually. It's a $25 fee. You have to complete and log at least 1 visit every 3 months to stay active with them. So they will not let you continue on their roles if you don't show activity in the field. So their process has many steps to it, but they follow through it very well. They're really helpful. They will work with you all the way through. And they give you so many resources. One of the big resources is liability insurance. Alliance for Therapy Dogs does provide members in good standing with $5 million occurrence liability insurance. It covers us while we're doing volunteer visits only. It does not cover you if you're taking your dog to work with you as part of your employment, but you can purchase other insurance. They have links on agencies that work with them that you can pay a fee. I think it's around $300 or $400 a year to be able to cover your dog to go into a work setting, like a school. And the last point is important there. The dog and the handler both have to be in compliance with all of the rules and regulations during the visit. They're pretty strict on what they require. You have to have tags on your dog. You have to have a collar. If you're using a harness, you have a collar and a harness. You can only use a lead that's 4 feet or less. You can never let a person you're visiting feed your dog a treat. I mean, there's a whole bunch of visiting instructions like that. And you have to be able to follow those. And if you were not in compliance with those, you would be in trouble. If, for example, you handed your dog to one of the children at the center that you're visiting to go take a walk and something happened, they wouldn't cover you for that. So you have to be sure that you're always following the rules. But that's a really big, important process there is to have that insurance. If you go to the ATD site and you look at the tab that's labeled Join, you're going to find out there this nice video. I'm not going to play it now because it's too long. It's about 12 minutes. But it shows several people going on therapy dog visits with their dogs in different kinds of settings. So you get little snippets and you can see what a visit looks like. And they also give you a demonstration of that handling assessment. So you can see what that's all about. A lot of people are nervous about that and afraid they won't pass, but you'll see when you look at it that a well-behaved dog is going to be able to get through that with no problem. So that's on the ATD site under Join. You can also, with your therapy dog, once they're certified, start working towards an AKC title. And this is for both purebred dogs and non-purebred, registered and not. You just have to be in their database, and there's several ways that you can get in their dog database. But we do work towards AKC titles, and there's lots of different titles out there. Jack is at the very lowest one down here right now, the 10 visits to earn his therapy dog novice title. He earned that last year. He's only 8 visits away from the next one up, which is the 50 visits for his AKC title. Thule has her therapy dog excellent, and you can go on from there. And there actually are some incredible therapy dogs out there that have 600 visits to their credit or more. I've seen some that have up around 1,000. So it's very, very amazing, but wonderful thing to do too, to get your dog titled. Optional, you don't have to. If you're an STCA member, they also have a special award there for Scotties who've earned both their AKC championship and a therapy dog title. And 2 years ago, Thule was the award winner for that. So I was happy to accept her award when I went to the banquet, and there's the proud girl with her title trophy. When we schedule and make visits, there's a lot to that actually. So I want you to know what the process is, because it takes time and you want to be able to commit to that time. There's no national registry of sites or any place you can just log into and say, where can I go take my dog visiting? Oh, here's a list in my area. It just doesn't exist. So you have to go out basically and search for sites yourself. Other therapy dog teams in your area can give you leads, but you actually have to do probably one-on-one marketing with each site. And the way that I do it is I have an information package that I put together. It has background information about my dog, some pictures, copy of my certificate, my membership card, copy of our insurance document, and my business card. And I put that all together, and I either email it or send it or drop it off to the site that I want to visit at. And then I follow up a week or so later with a personal contact. And if they're interested, the next contact, I always bring a dog along with me so they can meet them and see what they're like and see how well behaved they are. And if things go well, then we start visiting. So it's basically marketing your team, and you do that on an individual basis. This is a really important thing, finding a proper fit for the site. Okay, this is really critical. You want to find a site that you're comfortable in, that your dog's comfortable in. You want your dog to be so comfortable that they're thriving and they look forward to going there. You don't want them to just be drug along with you as you go to site and see people. So it's important, of course, to know your comfort zone. Are you comfortable in medical settings or not? What age of residence and activity level are you comfortable with? The next bullet's important there. Can you answer the same questions over and over and over again without getting frustrated? If you go to a memory care unit, that happens all the time. Okay, and what kind of dog is this? You answer it, and 2 minutes later, what kind of dog is she? And you answer it again, and maybe more times before you leave. So you have to just be able to smile and be comfortable with that and move on. Is the site flexible to work with your schedule? Are there other pets on site? This can be a real important one, because a lot of long-term care residential facilities now have on-site pets that live with their owners. And many times what you'll run into with that is that your dog is non-reactive to them, but that's not going to work the other way for them. Often the dogs that live there are the ones that are uncontrollable and kind of get anxious and they'll get barky and that kind of thing. So if your dog doesn't react well to that, you won't want to go to a place that has pets on site. Physical setting, I find some of my dogs, this is important. Do they have carpeting on the floor? Carpets retain a whole lot of smells, especially if there are resident dogs there, and sometimes that's a big distraction. How much space is there? Is there a lot of noise? And I mentioned earlier the ease of access to getting to the site. Is there a good place to park? Do you have to walk a long way and so forth? How much walking do you have to do in the site? Some of them are really spread out, and you will put on a lot of steps during a day of a therapy dog visit there, going from unit to unit. Some of the things I personally look for when I'm trying to find a good site is the director responsive to me. If I send a package, do they get back with me quickly? Okay, or is a month go by and I hear nothing and I have to kind of bird dog them? I don't like to do that. So I'm looking for places that want us to come and they're responsive. Are they there to help me when I get on site? This can be really important, especially if you're going to memory care units. You're going to need the help of the staff, because those are locked units and you can't just walk in. You have to have somebody there to guide you through, to get you through the doors, to make the general introductions with the staff and so forth. And if they're not willing to do that, it's a very uncomfortable place to work. I also like it when the staff work with me to get the patients engaged. They go with me, they introduce me and the dog, They encourage them to pet the dog. They take us to the activities room. We find lots of ways to get involved in the things that the residents are already doing that day on site. And also, of course, I like them to respect my volunteer time. So I hate it when I show up at a site and there's nobody there to help me and nobody even knew I was coming. Obviously, that site doesn't stay very long on my list. I find other places where they're willing to work with me better. These are the preparations that I do. Day or two in advance, I always confirm my visit. I get my dog cleaned up, bathe them and brush them. I do their nails, make sure that all their insignia and harnesses and everything is ready. Some people like to put costumes on their dogs. I don't usually do costumes, but I do bandanas, colorful bandanas, holiday bandanas, and kilts. They do go in kilts quite often. For you, you want to dress comfortably in clothing that's comfortable for you to move around in, to stoop down in, to get up and down in, and so forth. I like yoga pants a lot. They work really great for that. They are so comfortable. They have lots of pockets. You can tuck all kinds of things in there. I usually wear polo shirts like the one I have on today that has different insignia on it from the different organizations that I represent. A name tag for the site. One important thing, avoid bulky jewelry. Okay? I never wear my wedding band when I'm out there because it has a stone that's raised up and you're always worried about scratching someone. So I try to avoid any kind of bulky jewelry like that that can do accidental scratches. But basically, there's usually not a dress code. It's just a matter of what you're comfortable in. They will have obvious dress code things like no short shorts and no cutoff tops and things like that, but none of us would wear those anyway. I also pack a bag that goes with me on my site visits. And these are the things that I take with me: disposable wipes, dog bowl and water for me, paper towels, cleanup supplies. I always have them, but I've never had to use them, which is a really good thing. I take a small lap blanket that I can put on top of a person that wants to hold the dog on the lap. If they're up in a recliner or something sometimes, or in a bed, I lay it down on the bed and then put the dog on top of that. I always have my documents with me in case anybody asks for them. Dog toys and puzzles. Jack loves to do those puzzles where you have all the little compartments and you can hide the treats inside, close them up. Oh, he thinks that's the best thing going. So I always take those along and fill them with treats, and he demonstrates to everybody his intelligence finding all those treats, and they get the biggest kick out of that. Sometimes the little balls that roll on the floor that kick out treats, I take those because they love to see the dogs being active. Giveaway items. I always look for little giveaway items. I have some stickers that say I met Jack or Thule today. You can see one in that left side on the picture on that lady's red shirt. They love those. I have just general Scottie stickers. I do coloring book pages. That was one that was completed at a site. We do wristbands. The little Scottie stuffy in the lower there, the lower picture there, the brown and pink one. Teresa Bilodeau in California, many of you know her. She makes those for me. That's her way of volunteering to help our therapy dog effort. So she makes those for me, and I take them and I give them out to people that we have good engagements with that I know will remember and so forth. And people absolutely adore those. They have a little label that says therapy dog Thule or Jack, creating smiles today or something like that on them. And they just love those. And I also take along a life-size stuffed Scottie. And people say, well, that's kind of weird. Why do you do that? Well, sometimes people are afraid to touch your live dog. They really, really want a pet, but they're afraid to touch the dog, or they've had a bad experience in the past. Or they'll say, well, a dog bit me and I don't really want to touch that one. Or they'll say I'm allergic. So I pull out my stuffed Scottie and hand it to them, and they are just tickled to death. They have something they can pet, just like everybody else that's there. But that's always a hit when I take that. I do use a stroller for Thule. You saw a picture of that earlier. It raises her to petting height for people that are sitting. And most of the people we see in long-term care facilities are seated or in wheelchairs or in bed, and that raises her up higher so they can see her and touch her. She gets tired walking a long ways, and that solves that problem. She also gets hot, and I put a little rechargeable fan on there, so she stays nice and cool and comfortable as we go around. And it's great for storing stuff, too, to carry with you. So the stroller comes in handy. Jack never uses a stroller, though. He's a tough guy. He likes to walk, and he walks really good. And he's got longer legs, so he jumps up on furniture. He can jump up on an empty chair and be right at somebody's height. A couple other things when we go to visit, always make sure you potty the dog first, cell phones off. The antiseptic wipes up there are important. I always, before I go into a site, use antiseptic wipes on my hands and on the dog's feet. Okay, and then after we leave, I wipe hands and feet again. Okay, you want to make sure you're not bringing anything in that might be a problem to the residents, and you don't want to take anything home. So that's always important to us. You'll be asked probably to sign in and out. Photographing is an issue. You really have to be sensitive to taking photographs. I have lots and lots of photographs, but when I do photograph, I always ask permission first. It's tough in memory care because the people there probably are not in the right frame of mind to be able to give good consent. But most of the sites already have photo approval from all of their residents and the families. So when I'm taking them on site, if they allow me to take photos, I'll crop them so that you don't see a face or anything that identifies the person. Or what I'll do is I will wait for the sites to post the pictures to their website or their Facebook, and then I share it to mine. Okay, and they're perfectly happy with that. So they already have the permissions available if they post on Facebook. Many of them do because it's a marketing thing for them and a way for them to connect with patients' families. So oftentimes they'll follow me around and take pictures like crazy, and then they'll post them on their Facebook, and then they go right out to mine. Make sure to give your dog some rest. Be mindful of the resident dogs. I mentioned that earlier. Protect your partner. This is really important. You need to know your dog well enough to know when they are getting stressed, when they're getting too tired, or when they're in a situation that makes them really uncomfortable. And that happens at strange times. You would really be surprised at when that occurs. I find with Thule that she's very sensitive to smells. And every so often somebody will reach out to touch her and there's a smell in their hands that she doesn't like and she'll recoil. And I just quietly move her away at that point and turn her around so that she's not upset and don't make a big scene with the resident. But sometimes it's from people that smoke. She's not used to the cigarette smoke smell and so forth. So you have to be kind of aware of that. Now, Jack, on the other hand, is not any problem with any of those things, but he doesn't like to be grabbed and hugged. And I have to watch that because if somebody grabs him and hugs him too tight, he will growl. Okay, and that happens at the vet office and all sorts of places. So I'm always mindful that when people reach out to him, that I never let them grab him around that way, that so they can hug him like that. He's perfectly fine being petted, but I just am mindful to watch that. But if the dogs ever get anxious, and you'll see it, they'll start to drool, they'll pant like crazy, they'll try to hide and avoid the contact with people. It's time to go. And oftentimes we do cut visits short. You just have to do that, and the site understands it's not a problem, but keeping your dog comfortable is most important. And we already talked about treats. Being creative with activities, we try to join in on all sorts of things that are going on. My dogs have played bingo before. We go to coloring rooms and they serve as the models while everybody colors pages. I mean, there's lots of different things we do. So they have a good time with that. If your dog knows tricks, use them. Jack knows tricks. That's his sit pretty. So lots of times on site visits, I run him through a series of 5 or 6 tricks and they just get the biggest kick out of that. Sometimes when you go to your sites, your activities director there will organize a group of people for you to go see. You walk in the door and they say, oh, people are all waiting for you down in X location. So you just go down there with your dog and you've got a whole audience right there waiting for you. Other times you'll go to sites where they know you and trust you and they just basically turn you loose. And they'll say, oh, great, nice to see you today. Go have fun. And off I go, and I go all around the site by myself. So it just depends on where you are and what dog you have and so forth. One thing I do with Jack in particular, let him lead me where he wants to visit. Dogs have really great intuition, and they can sense pretty well people that would like them and people that need their attention. And he'll walk right by one door and not show any attention, any interest in that door at all. The next room we go to, he drags me in because there's somebody in there that he's sensed that he wants to visit. And that just amazes me to no end, but he's got really super intuition. I always ask the residents when we see them, would you like to touch my dog? You want to meet my dog? If it's a no, we don't push it. We just move on. I lift the dogs up and put them on furniture at times. I generally don't put them directly across their laps because they're a little too heavy. They both weigh about 22 pounds. And for most frail older people, that's a little much. But if I can fit them alongside in a recliner or up on a bed, or in a lot of the places, they have little couches scattered around and put them on the couch next to the resident. That works really great. I love that. These are common questions that we get. We get lots of questions when we're out visiting. What kind of dog is that? Is it a schnauzer? Is that a live Scottie? I've never seen one. That one always makes me chuckle. Are they friendly? Do they bite? How old is your dog? Okay, you can see quite a few of them there. Now, sometimes your conversations lead to real happy discussions and sometimes they don't. So that's one thing to be aware of, is that sometimes people will say, oh, it's a Scottie. I had a neighbor who had a Scottie, or my family had a Scottie when I was growing up, and that brings back nice memories. Or they'll tell me all about FDR and his Scottie. I hear that a lot. They tell me all about all the dogs they have ever owned. Okay, so we have this long litany going on of, oh, I had this dog and so forth and so on. And I ask them what kind of dogs, and if they tell me, oh, they're just mutts, I tell them, oh, they should know now that they'd be called All-American dogs, and they get a kick out of that. They have a title now. Now, sometimes you bring your dog up, and I've had this happen a few times, that the person pets your dog and bursts out in tears. And that is a little disconcerting, but you have to learn how to handle that carefully. And a lot of times what it is it's brought back sad memories of dogs that they've lost. Either they had to leave behind to come into assisted living, or dogs that have gone to the Rainbow Bridge. And I just try to comfort them and console them and encourage them to pet my dog. And usually that brings them right out of it, and they're very happy by the time we leave it. They have now had a chance to interact with this sweet dog. Is it worth the effort? Oh, absolutely. It sure is. We have so much fun. We have such a good time. It's so rewarding for me, and the dogs enjoy it. They really do. Some of the benefits of therapy dog work. Look at this top picture. I love this picture. This little sweet lady, she's in a memory care unit, really didn't have any awareness of what was going on around her until they rolled up with Thule. And then she looked at her out of her side eye like that, and Thule looked back, and the next thing I know, she's hugging her. So it was so cute. But you see all kinds of interactions in there, different places that we go. It's a great way to spend quality time with your dog, and it's an incredible bonding experience. You get to know that dog so well, and they get to know you so well, and you are truly a team when you go out on those kind of visits, and it's just a wonderful experience. I tell my dogs when I'm getting ready to go, they usually pick up ahead of time because they see me put a shirt on like this or get the stroller out. They know something's up. And they'll come running up to me, and I'll say, do you want to go to work with Mama today? And they're all excited, and they run to the door, and they sit there and wait. They run to the car. They can't wait to get out there. They just really, really enjoy it. There's so many heart tugs you get every time you visit. People are just so grateful that you're there, that you're spending time with them, especially in settings where not many visitors come. Okay, so it's always a very positive experience. We do spread a lot of smiles and joy. And that makes it all worthwhile, all the effort to prepare and get the certification. Just to finish up a few memories here, these are some pictures from hospice. Hospice, I think, is the most difficult environment that I go to. You never quite know what you're going to run into. Obviously, the patients are all at the end of their lives. It's a high stress environment for the staff and for the visitors. One of the experiences I had one day is I came to walk down a hallway, and a lady came walking out of the room that I knew. She's in my dog club. She was a very good friend. I didn't know her husband was there, and he was about to pass. And she wanted me to bring my dog in because he loves dogs, and we had a very nice few minutes there. So that was a hard encounter, but we did well with that. Another time I was there, there was a family with a patient who was dying, and there was a whole room full of adults, and there was one little boy there about 6 or 7 years old. And they had toys, and he was playing with them, but he was kind of uncomfortable. And one of the ladies came and said, would you mind taking him out in the hallway? And could he play with your dog for a while we take care of some decisions we have to make here? And I said, sure. So we sat on the floor outside the patient's room, and he told me all about his upcoming trip to Great Wolf Lodge. That was his big high point. And he loved my dog, and Jack loved him. It was great. We work a lot with student nurses there too, and that's a real valuable experience. It educates the next level of healthcare providers. But this is a challenging environment. This is related to the hospice. This is Camp Braveheart. This is a hospice children's camp. We've gone to it 3 years in a row now. My local hospice sponsors this, and we usually have 100 to 120 kids that go. They go to an actual campground for the weekend and stay in cabins and do horseback riding and swimming and all kinds of stuff like that. And we have a team of therapy dogs that go up there and meet with them throughout the day. And you can see some of the great pictures from that. That is just so rewarding. This year we did a pet safety class with each group that came up. It was really cute. We did just a little 5-minute, how do you approach a strange dog? What do you do if you're out by yourself and a strange dog approaches you? How do you do that safely? So that was kind of fun. And everybody got a brightly colored wristband after they left that said, you are Possum, and had a big dog print in the middle. But the kids love the dogs, and it's a really great thing. They have a memorial service. One thing that really made an impression with me on this with Jack is they do a memorial service at the last night of the camp each weekend, and it's a bonfire. and the kids write out little messages to the person that they've lost, that they're mourning, and they take those little pieces of paper and they put them in the fire. And the idea is that they burn them up and the ashes go to heaven. Well, the kids are all there in a big circle, and there's a lot of crying, lots of tears. And there was a little girl last year that was just sobbing her heart out. She had met Jack earlier in the day, and I walked him over to her and I said, "Would you like to hold my dog?" "Oh, yes." So I put her on his lap, put him on her lap, and she hugged him, and the tears just stopped immediately. He sat with her the whole time and just kept her comfortable. So it was a really good experience. You can't help but cry yourself when that happens. We do a lot at memory care units, and these are some pictures of them holding the puppy. I mentioned that earlier. That was a big hit. They keep telling me about that. I've had confused patients that will see my dog come up and they'll start addressing it by the name of their own dog, which they don't have anymore. And the whole time we're there, they're convinced that's their dog, and it's perfectly fine. We just go with the flow and let them enjoy this interaction with what they think is their dog. And I talked earlier about that they can be tearful, and but sometimes you'll see that patients become real alert in these settings. They might be sitting in a recliner being sort of zoned out, and when you bring the dog up, boy, they wake right up and they're very interested and they're active and they want to be engaged, and it's really a nice thing to see. We do long-term care facilities like assisted living as well. And these are where we might encounter more equipment, big wheelchairs, motorized wheelchairs, dogs on site and so forth. And generally when we go to those sites, they have us on their activity calendar, and we often have groupies waiting for us. So they'll say, "I'll be waiting in the activities room," when I come down, and there's half a dozen ladies that we see all the time. I saw it on the calendar for today, so we had to come down and see the dog. So that's kind of fun when you do that. And we join right in on their activities. We go to a lot of their holiday celebrations as part of the staff, basically, and enjoy that with them. So we do a lot of different things in those sites. This is a new favorite site that I just recently added. We have a place called ARC nearby, which is a training center with several group homes for adults with disabilities. And they have very severe disabilities in some cases. Some of them are developmental disabilities, some of them are physical disabilities, and they're all adults. Some are verbal, some are not. They range in age from 18 to senior citizens. And we go to their big home, we go to their big training center. You can see the picture in the lower left. I was doing a class on dog safety there for them, a very modified one. And they had a big group. Jack was great in that setting, and then he went around and met everybody in the group. We also have started going to group homes that they have. They have 5 group homes in our county where some of these people live full-time. And our dogs are now visiting. They've been adopted as their house dog. And they go once a month or twice a month to visit their houses where they live. And they just love that. The lady in the upper left-hand corner, I want to mention her briefly. This is a pretty severely disabled young lady. She has cerebral palsy. She's not verbal. Whenever she's confronted with anything new, she likes to pull that cloth that you see that she has in her hands there. She keeps it on her lap. She pulls it up over her face. It's her way of hiding from the experience. And I watched her the first few times we went. She'd pull it up, and she's watching me out of the corner of her eye. She's watching the dog and the other people touching him. And the last time we went to visit, the cloth went up for about 30 seconds. Then it came down, and then a hand reached out, and she wanted to touch it. So it took us a while, but we had a wonderful, wonderful breakthrough with her. But that's a really nice opportunity there. We do lots of holiday visits. We go to every kind of holiday thing at many of the sites that we're engaged with. Christmas. We do Veterans Day things. We've done the Christmas parade. We did Valentine's Day. We gave out Scottie Valentine's cards. There's Thule up at the top there being a butterfly for Halloween. We gave out candies and Scottie cookies and different things like that. So it's a lot you can do, and it's a lot of fun. They kind of adopt you as part of their family after a while. And this is the reason we keep going back. This beautiful, sweet lady, one of my favorites. She just absolutely adored dogs. We used to sit on that settee all the time, and Jack adored her, Thule adored her. She's not with us anymore, but this is one of my favorite pictures of her. And this is a memory that keeps me coming back. So hopefully you'll consider getting involved. You definitely are needed out there. Boy, they really love these dogs. This might be one of my next therapy dogs. This is little Maggie Rose. You saw her earlier in the picture at her 4-month-old visit. I think she's going to have the same temperament her daddy has, and she's going to enjoy it. She loves to meet new people. How would you resist that whole thing? She's so cute. I ran across this quote as I was making this performance. This is different. Ran across this quote as I was making this presentation up, and I thought it was a good one. The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. So if I can help you begin doing, I would love to do that. I'd be real happy to answer any questions that you might have, connect you up with different agencies that you could check out for certification, connect you up with Alliance of Therapy Dog if that's where you might be interested in going. Anything that you have questions on, I'd be happy to help you with.
Thank you so much, Colleen. That was awesome. Can you tell us there's a somebody would want to get in touch with you and ask you some questions? What would be the best way for them to connect with you?
Probably my Facebook Messenger if you're on Facebook.
Okay.
My email address.
Okay. Can you give us your email actually? I don't think that was on your slide, if I remember right.
It was or not. It's FL for Florida, Scottie, SCOTTIE, LOVER, Florida Scottie Lover @gmail.com.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I'd be real happy to answer any questions like that and help you get connected with somebody in your area.
Yeah, this was just a phenomenal presentation. It makes me
wonderful
wish I had time
activity to
do
get
it.
involved. Really encourage. Really hope people will show interest in it. So many people don't think their dog could do it, but usually if you're interested, you can find a TO in your area and they will go out with you just on an informal, let's try it out and see. We'll go to Tractor Supply or we'll go to Lowe's and just see how they do one day.
Sure.
And then sometimes I encourage people to come and go on a visit with me without their dog, just come along with me and hang out and follow along and see what we do. And that usually answers a lot of questions and makes them more comfortable. And then we'll go from there. And then we have several sites that I use for training and we can take dogs in on a trial visit and see how they do before going through the whole certification.
Mary Bauer has a couple questions here. What's the average time you spend and interact with each client?
Really varies. In the memory care units, probably about a couple minutes. In the long-term care facilities, might be more. You might be 5, 10, 15 minutes. I always search out the hospice patients in those sites and I spend a little more time there if they're alert and able. At the adult daycare training center, it could be a lot longer than that. And we go into a room of maybe 7 or 8 people that are working in there. We could be in there for half an hour. So it just depends on the setting, the people, how alert they are. When we do a general site visit on memory care or assisted living facility, usually it's about an hour from start to end to go through the whole thing. The adult daycare training center, I usually go a little longer there, about an hour and a half. Hospice depends on how many patients are there and what condition patients are in, and maybe just a half hour for a visit that day. So we modify it depending on the circumstances.
Sure. Other questions from people? You can go ahead and unmute yourself and just ask your question if you'd like. Because I have another if we don't have another one coming up. When you talk about making connections in places to get yourself started, who do you typically, who's your contact point person at the
usually the activities director. Most sites will have an activities director.
Okay.
I try to find that person first. If they don't respond, then I will often go to the center director itself, the administrator.
Okay.
And try to send the package again a second time. But most all places have an activities director, and that's a good place to start.
Okay, great. Thoughts or questions from others?
Your presentation was wonderful. It brought a lot, where a lot of things to think about, and it's wonderful the time you give.
Time very well spent.
Yeah.
It's a lot of time for me now because I have 2 therapy dogs that are active and about 7 or 8 sites we visit on a monthly basis. But it's time so well spent.
Have you gone to any schools?
Schools, I didn't mention that. Schools and hospitals in my area are kind of a no-go, unfortunately, in my county. And the reason is our sheriff's office has therapy dogs. They have 2. And they have basically tied those sites up and gotten exclusive privileges to bring their therapy dogs there. And they will not allow other therapy dogs in. I take the dogs to the college where I work. We do have permission to bring them here. So oftentimes we come for events at the college. We come when students' final exam week is on for stress relief activities they have for them. We often visit the student nurses and get them introduced to therapy dogs, and it's a really good training opportunity for them. So we often go to the student nurse labs and work with them. But otherwise, public schools are very difficult to get into. You really need a connection that will get you in there, and they may not allow therapy dogs, period, or they may have something arranged already with something like the sheriff's office, like mine has. So I unfortunately haven't had that opportunity to go there. We do look for places like after-school programs, though. Boys and girls clubs, places like that, where if you want to interact with children, those are possibilities.
Yeah. I didn't realize that sheriff departments ever had therapy dogs.
Yeah. They use them a lot for crisis intervention.
Okay.
When they have children come in that have been abused and that sort of thing, they often will
Sure.
call therapy in. And they often use them in their courthouses.
Okay. That's interesting. Wow. Well, this is really great, Colleen. Oh my gosh. I think
So
that
steps
the
to get
presence of,
involved. If you stick out the process, it's really worthwhile. And you
yeah,
can visit as much or as little as you like. If you're with ATD, it's got to be once every 3 months to stay active. But other than that, it's pretty much your time to allow and adjust. And most of the sites that I work with are real flexible about when we want to come to visit. They may have certain days of the week that they can't do it because they have other things that are routinely scheduled, but they will really typically bend over backwards to accommodate us at the time and dates that we need.
how many of you that are on think you have a dog that might do well in that setting? Because I think Paisley would, Mary.
Friendly dog. Good. I have to tell you about Jack. I took him to the adult training center yesterday, and he was just a delight. I was telling her about Michelle about it last night. I walked him in the door of that place, and he just strutted right down the hall like he'd always lived there. And we walked into the first room, which was that big room. It had all those people in it. There were about 40 people in there yesterday. And he just immediately squeals. You could hear him down the hall. Here comes Jack. Here comes Jack. And I pet the dog. So we went down there first. And he just started going up to people. They call him over and he walks right up to them, puts his paws up on their leg and wants to get petted. And then he'll move on to the next person. And whoever calls him over, he goes right up to him. And he's just a delight. He's so happy there. So that's the big thing, is to find a dog that's friendly like that and is comfortable being in different settings. And you find the setting that fits best for him. He's great there. Tully's not so comfortable there. She has to be in a stroller all the time, but Jack just adores it.
Yeah. Nan Ames is on our call, and she's also one of our board members. And her dog Livy is a little doll as well, just like Paisley is of Mary's. Both of them would be great. And let's see, Julia Dunn is on here, and she said, I think that my dog would do great. I would have to work on not being nervous and not knowing what to say.
Yeah.
Do you have
That's a hard
for
from a
that?
medical background, so it's a little more comfortable for me. I worked as a respiratory therapist years and years ago for a long time, so I've been in medical settings. I'm used to doing that. But if you're not sure about that, try a non-medical setting first, or something that's not real high intensity. You
Sure.
probably wouldn't want to start out in hospice. Memory care actually is a good place to go because they're not going to ask you a lot of questions there. The residents, a lot of times, some are verbal, but they don't ask you long conversations of things. It's just little questions here and there. And actually, they may not remember you were there 5 minutes after they've talked to you. So you can come back and visit the same person multiple times, and they're happy as all get out. But they're very gentle usually, and quiet, and lower activity level. So that's often a place where we'll start a new team out.
Yeah. I think one of the things I love about this whole concept is, there are a lot of dog owners who don't walk their dogs regularly. The dogs don't get enough stimulation. The people don't get enough activity. And so there's an opportunity for that bond to be greater than what it really is.
Oh, yeah.
And this is one of the ways to promote that
Mhm.
because they can become a team together.
Yeah.
I
And it's
just,
very rewarding for both. They
yeah,
right just as much as people do.
yeah. You don't have to
We have a
run down the
girl.
hall or run around agility stuff.
Yeah, I can't do it. I'm too old for that. So, I'd be on my face in a hurry. So that would not be for me. So I was looking for something else, a little more sedentary that I could do with my dogs. It was on my time schedule.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for new opportunities. We had a new Rural King store just opened in our town last week. So I was down there right away looking for the store manager. Is this dog friendly? Can I bring service dog teams and training here? Yes, service dog therapy dog teams and training here. Oh yeah, absolutely. Bring them anytime. So we'll do a lot of our upcoming handling tests there. It's a huge store, so that's going to be a really nice opportunity.
Awesome. One of our other messages that was just left is by Phil Poole, who is also one of our board members. She also has a little doll of a Scottie. Her name is Sky, and she said Sky does well when we visit our local nursing homes, which is
Should
fantastic.
get her certified as a therapy dog, and have her out there. She'd love it. So Scotties that are a little smaller. I have another one at home too. Her name is Sunny, and she's about 2.5, and she's a lot smaller than the other Scotty. She's only about 16, 17 pounds. I think she'll make a good therapy dog also. But I've been waiting to get her spayed. She keeps coming in heat on me every 3 months. So
Oh my.
to get her spayed and settled down. She was another rehome dog from Cindy Cook, and she'll make a wonderful little therapy dog.
Yeah. Great. Any other comments or questions? Erica, I see you're on from Scottish Terrier Club of Greater New York Rescue. Just a wave. You're quiet today.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to figure out from my phone how to unmute. I
Oh.
usually do this on my PC. This was such a wonderful presentation. Really amazing. I unfortunately no, my dogs don't listen to me at all. Any of the ones that I have right now. But I think in the future, I'm really glad to know how this works and what you have to do. I think for me, the biggest challenge would be I would be so upset going into hospice and nursing homes. I think I would probably have to. So
you might check
So I
your area
guess-
out for schools and libraries and places like that. It would be more comfortable for you to go. Hospice is tough, I will tell you that for sure. I always have to be in the right frame of mind to go to hospice. It's a very tough environment, but there's so many others that are lots of fun to go to and enjoyable. And if you can get into the schools in your area, into libraries and places like that, that's really great.
Yes, some of the, at least up here in Door County, a couple of our libraries have a therapy dog that goes in, and they have kids groups and they read to the dog. Or
That's
the
wonderful.
dog,
I was
that,
trying to
that
do
whole thing, which is great. And a couple years ago,
It's up in Maine, and that's his mother's wanting to train him to be a therapy dog to do exactly that. So
yeah.
he's old, we'll get him going.
A couple years ago, we were picking up our granddaughter at the Appleton airport, and I'd never seen therapy dogs in an airport setting. I thought, what a great idea.
Yeah.
So that would be one area that I would consider going to if I was nervous about engaging with people in a healthcare setting.
There's another Scotty on Facebook that's pretty active. It's called Monty the therapy dog.
Yes.
He's a weird Scotty, and they do a lot of work at airports.
Where is
She-
he located, Colleen?
I don't know where he's located.
Okay.
I want to say in the maybe New York area, somewhere up in that area, New York, Pennsylvania, somewhere there.
Okay. I'll have to connect with him.
But there's a lot of opportunities like that. I don't have an airport here, so that's not on my list. And I have to go to places the sheriff's department isn't, but we keep finding new places all the time.
Yeah.
We're gonna reach out to summer camps shortly and hopefully do some programs on dog safety. That's been a real popular thing. I can do just a little 5-minute thing. What do you do if you're approaching a new dog, and they all learn how to respectfully, ask for permission and let the dog sniff you, and then touch them on their neck or their back, not on the top of the head or grabbing the ear. And what do you do if a strange dog comes up? You can just do a little 3-bullet thing with that. Don't kick them, don't scream, don't run. Stand quietly, and different things like that. And it makes a big impression. We were so surprised at the hospice children's camp after we did these little presentations. The next day, the kids came up, remembered what they learned. May I pet your dog? And always ask for permission, which is wonderful. So we know we made an impression there.
That's great. Well, again, Colleen, thank you so much for doing this for us today. We really appreciate it. And you're doing a great job representing the breed, being an ambassador for the breed, as well as what you're bringing to the recipients of the therapy team. So our kudos to you.
Thank
and
you.
our
Thank
breeds.
you.
All right. Okay, I think we're gonna close now. Again, thank you to all of you for tuning in, and hopefully if this works, the recording of this works, I'll have this up by probably by the end of tomorrow night. So you can look forward to that. It'll always be up on our website for you to refer to or to encourage other people to take a look at. All right. And lastly, I just want to let you know we are starting an auction because of the Scottie rally coming up, our 26th rally. That auction is going to be going live. So if you could go to our Facebook, not our Facebook page, our website at doorcountyscottierally.org. You can go ahead and just sign right up on our website and get registered to participate in that auction if you'd like. Okay. Thanks very much. I'll be in touch with you soon, Colleen. Okay. Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.